Hello and welcome back to our 7th episode in our second series of Fan Factory Friday. This time, Hayden, aka the Lord over on Discord, has offered his save again, so special thanks to him. Some of you might remember his last save, which killed my PC and inspired me to do a guide on improving FPS. If you want to see that video, click the link in the top right corner now. But what I can safely say is, though Hayden has some huge plans for this factory, he's doing it in a much more manageable way for my PC to handle, and this is also a perfect opportunity to see how he's working on his mega factory. So if you do like this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. Anyway, jumping into the game with 400 hours already played, you may be surprised at how small it is. Although, don't confuse this with laziness. The factory is very concentrated, and with the exception of importing resources and the refining of oil, everything is manufactured here and can fit within a 35 wide by 29 long factory within 20 blocks high, which is impressive to say the least. So let's start over at the refineries. He's using a total of 21 refineries to produce fuel and polymer resin, which then moves on to a fuel buffer before heading over to a total of 82 fuel generators. The resin, however, is brought across to a buffer of containers so that they can be moved to 9 refineries using the residual plastic recipe. Also worth checking out here is how he's using the manifolds on this belt. He's feeding them from both ends to reduce the startup time. You can obviously do this with larger manifolds, and is something I've not really covered but is worth thinking about in your builds. He also has 2 refineries for rubber and another refinery for packaged fuel. With that sorted, let's return back to the main base via his hypertube system alongside his plastic and rubber bus. Upon our arrival, we can note that everything else is produced here, with only resources pulled by conveyor bus to here. Although we should note that he has big plans to use trains, but we'll come to that later. The premise here is not to build hundreds of each item, but to produce enough to get by. This is a stepping stone factory, transitioning from a factory that produces everything you need to a mega base. He has an easily accessible storage facility on the ground floor alongside a series of smelters, foundries and constructors covering early tier items like quick wire, quartz crystals and concrete. He also manufactures the steel pipes and beams here, but note that the iron and copper ingots all ascend to the next level to be manufactured into plates, rods, screws and copper wire, as well as cables. Following onwards, we have a few more constructor lines, followed on with assembly lines for various items from modular frames to motors, which each again ascend to the top floor, which is rather spacious, containing manufacturers for computers and heavy modular frames, modular engines and adaptive control units. If we go to the 2 outbuildings, we have aluminium in production. I like the use of the sloped roof running alongside the tall refineries, and in the second outhouse we have a manufacturer creating radio control units which go on to create turbo motors. At this point, it's great to see how he's able to produce all the necessary items which all get brought back to the storage area, and whilst we're here we can also find the ammunition and Nobelisk being produced behind the storage facility. This is the perfect moment to segue to a mega factory whilst keeping this one running, as he'll be able to bring in all the necessary items to build the factory without needing to stop and restart. which is exactly what he's doing now. You can see here that he's started on a sky rail. I love the use of glass alongside the foundation frames as a foundation for the sky rail, and also using these towers to bring the trains up and down the factory is a pretty cool system, to say the least. These train lines will be used to collect items from all the nodes scattered around the map and brought up over to the mega factory structure over here. Oh, and before we get to that point, one criticism. What's with the water extractors and pumps here using all that wasted energy? You have a waterfall and a mountain lake just above your factory. Using headlift, you can avoid using pumps entirely here. And yes, that was a sneaky segue into our advanced guide on pipes, which you can find in the top right hand corner here. Say no to pumps and use headlift instead. Anyway, back to the topic on hand. We only have the base started, but you can see the huge beginnings of what I presume is going to be a pyramid. It currently has 20 inputs for trains, and though it might be a bit of a mess with 20 plus trains on one line all clipping each other, the good news is that this, once train signaling is released, which we presume will be update 4, will be a perfectly viable option, and I'm very interested to see how it progresses. Now, from what I can tell, items will be deposited at the station where they will either, I presume, be sent upwards using the same tiered system as Hayden has used in the previous factory, or with the sheer amount of space he has available here, possibly use manufacturing lines between the train rails to produce the first level of items before moving on to the next section. Either way, I'm still very interested in seeing how this factory progresses. So, there you are, guys. That's all we have time for in today's video, but if you did enjoy the factory build, then be sure to hit the thumbs up, and if you want to see more and haven't already, then be sure to subscribe to keep up to date with all our Fan Factory Friday videos, spotlights and guides. Anyway guys, until next time, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, as always, ciao for now.